Hi guys. So this morning I'm just going to be taking a few moments and reading the beginning of Scene 2 or Act 2, depending on which version of the play we had been using. Um, where we last left off, the girls are wild. Abby and Betty start basically proclaiming every woman in town as a witch because they see that Tituba is getting special treatment for her behavior. And so they decide that in order to be like forgiven for all that they've done, they jump on the bandwagon with her and start proclaiming all sorts of women being witches. All right. We also found out about Abby and John's affair in the last one, in the last scene that we read, in which Abby used to work for the Proctors. It comes out that John and her had slept together, and she was then let go because of that. And so it's it's one of those things that you need to be aware of as we continue to move forward because it's going to continue to propel the story forward. Abby is still very much in love with John, and whether John reciprocates those feelings or not, it's not really relevant. Um, she is obsessed. She is a 17-year-old girl in love. She is obsessed with him. All right, so we're going to kind of change modes a little bit. This next part is going to be uh, a conversation with John and his wife. So I figured I could definitely read two parts. I don't think that would be too confusing. But it starts at about a week later, a week from where we left off, and just a conversation between John and his wife, and we're gonna see kind of how their marriage is doing. It's been 7 months since the affair happened, um, and you'll find out kind of how all that worked out. All right, so feel free to open your PDFs with me to page 26. We are about a third of the way through the play at this point. Open up to page 26 with me. I'm only going to be reading about 3 or 4 pages of the reading, but I thought it would be a good way to get us started in this next one as we head into Friday. All right, so scene 2 is Proctor's house. 8 days later, on the back of a washstand is a nail which hangs Elizabeth's shawl, and uh, on the upper uh, on the upper stage at the end of the bench is a nail to support a gun, which Proctor leans against the bench. It's the same bench in which a hole is a whip. There are two entrances, one outside of the house, the other leading to the rest of the house. On the curtain rise, the common room is empty, and from above you can hear Elizabeth, John's wife, softly singing to the children. John Proctor enters, carrying his gun. He glances around the room, crosses and leans his gun against the bench. He stands, pours water from the pitcher, the washstand, and pours water into it from the pitcher, and as he is washing, Elizabeth's footsteps are heard. All right, so this is Elizabeth. What keeps you so late? I was planting far out at the edge of the forest. Oh, you're done then? Aye, the farm is seeded. The boy is asleep. He dips his hand into the water and wipes them. Elizabeth removes water in a towel and goes out and returns with a dish of stew. They will be soon. She serves stew into the dish. Pray now for a fair summer, says Proctor. Elizabeth goes out and returns with another dish. Aye. Are you well today? I am. It is a rabbit. Proctor says, oh, in Jonathan's trap. No, she walked into the house this afternoon. I found her sitting on the corner like she'd come to visit. Well, that's a good sign walking in. Pray God it hurt my heart to strip her, poor rabbit. Oh, it is well seasoned, though. I took great care, says Elizabeth. She's tender? Aye, I think we'll see green fields soon. It is as warm as the blood beneath the clods. That's well. If the crop is good, I'll buy George Jacob's heifer. How would that please you? Aye, it would. I mean to please you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, it's hard for her to say. I know it, John. Proctor as gently as he can. Cider? Elizabeth, a sense of reprimanding herself for having forgot. Aye. He gets jug off the She gets a jug off of left stage, pours drink into a pewter mug and brings it to him. Proctor. This farm's a continent when you're go foot by foot dropping seeds. It must be. On Sunday let you come with me and we'll walk the farm together. I've never seen such a load of flowers on the earth. Massachusetts is a beauty in the spring. Aye, it is. I think you're sad again, are you not? You come so late I thought you'd gone to Salem this afternoon. Why, I have no business in Salem. You did speak of going earlier this week. Well, I thought better of it since. Mary Warren's there today, says Elizabeth. Why did you let her? You heard me forbid her go to Salem from anywhere. Elizabeth says, I can't stop her. Proctor, it is a fault. It is a fault, Elizabeth. You're the mistress here, not Mary Warren. So she's in charge, but she seems to think that Mary Warren has more power. Elizabeth says she frightened all my strength away. Proctor, how may that mouse frighten you, Elizabeth? Elizabeth says, she is a mouse no more. I forbid her go, and she raised her chin up like the daughter of a prince and says to me, I must go to Salem, Goody Proctor. I am an official of the court. Court? What court? It's a proper court they have now. They've sent 4 judges in from Boston, she says, weighty magistrates of the general court, and at the head sits the deputy governor of the province. Proctor, astonished, why, she's mad. Elizabeth says, I would to God she were. There are 14 people in jail now, she says, and they'll be tried, and the court have the power to hang 'em too. She says, Proctor, they'd never hang, but he's not super convinced here. Elizabeth, the deputy governor promises hanging if they'll not confess, John. The town's gone wild, I think. Mary Warren speaks of Abigail as though she were a saint. To hear her, she brings the other girls into court, and when she walks, the crowd parts for her, like the sea for Israel. And folks are brought before them, and if Abigail scream and howl and fall to the floor, the person's clapped in jail for bewitching her. John can't look at Elizabeth. Oh, it is a black mischief, says Proctor. I think you must go to Salem, John. I think so. You must tell them it is fraud. Proctor says, it surely is. Elizabeth says, let you go to Ezekiel Cheever. He knows you well, and tell him what you said last week in her uncle's house. She said it had naught to do with witchcraft, did she not? Proctor, in thought, saying, Aye, she did. She did. Elizabeth, quietly, fearing to anger him by prodding, God forbid you keep that from the court, John. I think they must be told. Aye, they must. It is a wonder that they do believe her. I would go to Salem now, John. Let you, tonight. Proctor says, I'll think on it. Elizabeth, with her courage now, you cannot keep it, John. Proctor, getting angry, I know I cannot keep it. I say I will think on it. Elizabeth, she's hurt. Very coldly. Good. Then let you think on it. Proctor, defensively, I'm only wondering how I may prove. She told me, Elizabeth, if the girl's a saint now, I think it's not easy to prove she's fraud. And the town's gone so silly. She told me in her room, alone. I have no proof of it. You were alone in a room with her? For a moment, Why, then it is not as you told me. For a moment, I say. The others come in soon after. Do as you wish, then. Woman, I will not have your suspicion any more. Elizabeth, a little loftily, I have no. Proctor says, I'll not have it. Then let you not earn it. Proctor, with a violent undertone, you doubt me yet? Elizabeth, John, if it were not Abby that you must go hurt, would you falter now? I think not. Proctor, now look you. Elizabeth says, I see what I see, John. Proctor, you will not judge me more, Elizabeth. I have good reason to think before I charge fraud on Abby, and I will think on it. Let you look to your own improvement before you judge your husband any more. I forgot Abby, and Elizabeth, and I. Proctor, spare me. You forget nothing, and you forgive nothing. Learn charity, woman. I have gone tiptoe around this house all 7 months since she's gone. I have not moved from here to there without thinking to please you, and still an everlasting funeral marches around your heart. I cannot speak, but I am doubted. Every moment I am judged. For the lies as though I come into the court when I come into this house. Elizabeth firmly. John, you are not open with me. You saw her with a crowd, you said. Now you. Proctor says, I'll plead my honesty no more, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, now she would justify herself. John, I am only. Proctor, in an outburst. No more. Should have roared you down when you first told me your suspicion, but I wilted, and like a Christian I confessed. Some dream I must have mistaken you for God that day. But you're not, and let you remember it. Let you look sometime for goodness in me, and judge me not. Elizabeth says, I do not judge you. The magistrate that sits in your heart judges you. I never thought you but a good man, John, only slightly bewildered. Proctor says, oh, Elizabeth, your justice would freeze beer. And that's where we're going to end the reading. There are going to be just a short set of questions. They'll be located in this assignment that I'll be posting here soon. Take just a few moments and read them. This is less than 10 minutes. I know you can do it. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.